What if everything you'd been taught about getting rich is backwards? What if, instead of blaming your circumstances, the fastest path to wealth is actually taking on more responsibility? The speaker built a $40 million business by doing the exact opposite of what most people do. He explains that taking responsibility for problems that aren't even yours is the secret to activating innovation, attracting resources, and becoming the solution the world needs. Most of us try to avoid responsibility, feeling like we already have too much to manage with kids, work, studies, and personal problems, not to mention finding time for social media. He understands there's never enough time or money, so we pursue them as an end goal. However, he argues this is a trap. You can't get more time or money by chasing them directly. You get them by taking on even more responsibility. Most people are so overwhelmed they have no more bandwidth, so when more problems arise, they play the blame game. This is how we relinquish responsibility, by finding someone else to blame and saying, "That's not my job." We blame others for our work issues, community problems, or global conflicts, often seeing ourselves as victims. He stresses that it's crucial to examine this victimhood, because getting honest about it is when everything can change. The shocking truth, he says, is that assuming greater responsibility is the way to get rich and escape the time, money, and life trap. You don't distance yourself from problems, you get up close and take on bigger ones, and in doing so, your smaller problems will disappear. A mentor once told him the only difference between rich and broke people is that rich people have decided to solve bigger problems, so the little ones don't even matter anymore. He redefines responsibility not as a burden, but as responsibility, the capacity to respond. It's acknowledging that you have the power to transform any problem in your life, business, or the world into a solution through your inner resources and actions. We respond to the gaps we see between how things are and how we think they should be. Whether it's friction in a relationship, employees not listening, or chaos in the world, responsibility means saying, "Show me what I can do to change the way things are." Successful people and entrepreneurs don't complain about circumstances, they decide to do something about it. That decision makes the how clear. When they take on that responsibility, they're rewarded with more wealth, influence, control, and personal sovereignty, elevating themselves beyond day-to-day troubles. His own awareness of this connection between responsibility and wealth, freedom and joy, came from taking responsibility for his alcoholism and drug addiction. Instead of blaming his parents, he took responsibility, worked a 12-step program, got a sponsor, and went to therapy. As a result, he got his life and soul back. He realized that assuming responsibility for his addiction made him more powerful, leading to greater self-love, forgiveness, and awareness of his own flaws. Shortly after, he met the love of his life, clarified his purpose, and started making more money. He'd been looking at responsibility all wrong, and once he shifted, he started looking for other areas where he felt trapped, hopeless, or was blaming others. He noticed a frustration with personal growth that offered motivation but no transformation. Taking responsibility, he decided to do something about it. He was also frustrated with the system, politics, and powerful cartels, and decided he would create change. He wished for a community like his recovery community, but for people recovering their souls and lives. So he decided to create it, not knowing exactly how. He began donating money to causes he was passionate about, like helping foster children and struggling families, realizing it wasn't their problem, but his. He understood that when you see something in the world that is not as you want it to be, it is your problem. This shift from trying to get more money and time to taking on more responsibility transformed his life. He shares a personal health journey of 8 years where, after seeing countless doctors without a diagnosis, he took responsibility for his own health. He used ChatGPT and ran labs to figure out what was wrong, even designing an entire analytical system that uses AI to help people identify what tests they need and design solutions. He's also working on democratizing lab testing to lower costs because he believes everyone should have access to this information, which is becoming part of a new health vertical his company is launching. He acknowledges it's easy for people to say, well, you've built a $40 million business, so you can do that. But he reminds them that when he first started taking responsibility, he had 2 homes in foreclosure and was going through a midlife crisis. The way through was to take more responsibility, not to shirk it. The problems you have, he says, are setting you up for expansion and are looking for solutions that can come through you. He explains that his $40 million business was built because he took responsibility for evangelizing a more transformative form of personal growth. When he took on this responsibility, ideas, coincidences, and new frameworks started to appear. People often ask for the secret to his success, but he says the real secret is simply that he took on the responsibility because he knew he had the ability to respond. A wealth mindset is when you stop saying, "That's not my problem," at your job, and instead say, "I'm responsible for everything here." This makes you part of the solution and inevitably leads to promotion and more money because you've earned more responsibility. We don't wait for responsibility to be given to us, we take it because we are capable. He believes that God or a higher power doesn't give you situations you can't respond to. Everything you perceive is there because you have the capacity to take responsibility for it. He's asking you to step up so he can give you greater resources, influence, and power. Instead of complaining about wars, politicians, and inflation, he urges people to act and take responsibility for what they want to change. He started as a $125 an hour life coach and understood that the key to success is responding to what you see in the world. This led him from helping with internal suffering to helping entrepreneurs and now to working on the world's biggest problems, which has resulted in a portfolio of companies redesigning healthcare, financial systems, and creating communities. This unfolds when you stop pushing the world's problems onto others and say, "I'm going to do something about this." He shares his personal practice of praying for solutions for armed conflicts and asking his higher power to make him an instrument of change. He tells the story of a young man who wanted to be a billionaire. He advised him not to desire the money itself, but to ask for $1 billion worth of responsibility, to see a problem so big that it requires $1 billion to flow through you to solve it. That, he says, is how you become a billionaire. The difference between you and people like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk is that they stepped up and claimed the responsibility. He concludes that the opposite paradigm of complaining about circumstances and feeling helpless is a scarcity mindset. People pursue time and money, but these are just byproducts of asking for greater responsibility in the world. The way to address wrongs in your life, organization, or family is by taking radical, unequivocal responsibility.